Hi guys, Debbie here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. So today's video, as you can tell by the title, is a ranking Jeffree Star eyeshadow palettes video. I've wanted to do this for a little while, but now I've picked up the Jawbreaker collection as well. I thought it was high time to do it because I've got every palette that he's brought out since Beauty Killer, which is 8 palettes in total. So I thought I'd do a countdown from 8 to 1, with 8 being my least favourite and 1 of course being my most. And then I sat down and thought, well, how do I do this? Because I love them all. As you might know, Jeffree Star is my favourite brand for both eyeshadow and for lipstick. Or for lipstick, maybe I've got a few others that I love as well, but for eyeshadow, definitely. So it's really, really difficult for me to narrow it down and rank them. But and I thought, do I do it on formula? Do I do it on colour story? And in the end, I just decided to do it on which speaks to my heart the most. What do I gravitate towards the most, if that makes sense? And this may change, you know, from day to day with me. So this is only a bit of fun, but I thought it might help you guys to see them all on camera, kind of compared to one another, and to help you to decide if you want to pick up any more, if maybe you've not got any, you know, which one might be right for you, or if you've maybe got 1 or 2, are there any that you might still want to add to your collection. So I hope you find it useful, or a bit of fun at least. But I'm going to jump right in. So I'm going to start with my number 8. So that is the Thirsty palette. And as I say, I love all of these palettes, including this one, but there's a reason why this one's in the lowest place. A couple of reasons really. So as you know, I love colourful eyeshadow. I'm wearing it right now. What I'm wearing right now is created with the Jawbreaker, and I'll link the video in the cards for you where I created this look. Should already be up anyway, so that you may already have seen it, but I'll link that up there for you. But this one is his version of a neutral palette, and if you were to block those shades, it's a warm neutral palette with a bit of sparkle in there really. And also the yellow shade is really disappointing. It doesn't show up very well on the eyes at all. Blue and the greeny shades, tealy shades, are fine. But I've also got hard pan on that shade, which is called Lick. So the gold frosted, or sorry, the gold foil shade that's in the palette. So, and I find that with his gold formula, there is another palette that I've got a gold in that I'm going to be coming on to later that the same thing has happened to. And I can clear the hard pan and get it to work, but it is a bit irritating. And so that's why it's in my last position. But having said that, what I do love about this is the formula of that shade there, so Filthy Rich and Snatch, so the two either side of Lick, because they're like a sort of, they're almost like a pressed glitter, but they're not glitter. They're like a more gritty version of a shimmer. That's all I can say. And they've got some sparkle in, and I really love those packed in the centre of the lid. So I'll take something like Stroke on either side to create a halo eye, and then the shade Bitch, which is also a stunning shade in this palette, it's like almost a neon orange. I'll pat that then either side, and then I'll put one or both sometimes of those two shades that I've been talking about in the centre of my lid over some glitter glue. And it's so easy and quick to do, but it looks really pretty. And if I've got somewhere that I've got to be that's a bit more formal, like a work thing or whatever, that's the kind of look that I gravitate towards, and I love the palette for that reason. The silver is really good as well, so the shade Divine there, that one's good. And I like that with the shade Drizzle, so, or with the shade Subtle. So there's a lot of options still for being a neutral palette, but as I say, for the reasons I've stated, that's why it's in my 8th position. So then at number 7, I've picked the Androgyny palette. As I say, love this palette as well. I do love them all. But for this one, I think it was his version of a neutral palette. So again, it's a bit more neutral. I love colour, but for being a neutral palette, it is pretty colourful, to be fair. And what I like to do with this one in particular is use the shade Poison, that one, and the shade Frosting together. They look really good together. and I also really like the shades Androgyny and Fetish. Not in the same look necessarily, but I do like both of those shades. That Fetish shade, the red, is sort of, it's not a shimmer, probably a satin I would say. It's definitely not a matte, it's got a little bit of sheen to it, but it's so impactful as like a smoky eye. And then smoked out with, say, Charm in the crease, that can look really lovely. Safe Word is a great contour shade, so not so bothered about the two brown shades. They're good, but you know, brown isn't really my natural home when it comes to eyeshadow, as you can tell. But yeah, it's a great palette, and I love the packaging of the palette as well, like the snake skinny sort of feel to it, the fact that it's so slim that you can take it travelling with you, and you've got quite a lot of options for being a neutral-ish palette. So I do love it, but there's others that I love more, so this one is in my number 7 position. This is going to be a long video. You might want to get a drink or a snack, pause the video and come back, because I'm going to be here for a little while, I think, talking about these, because I do love them so much. But the next one in my countdown at number 6 is the Mini Breaker. Adore this palette. I've used it a few times off camera and twice on camera. I'll link the 2 videos that I've made with this. Here's the shades inside this one if you've not seen it. So I've done a look with just all the purples and the pinks exclusively, and I've done a more neutral look with the more oranges and neutral tones in the palette. And I think it's got a lot of potential for different looks for only having 9 shades. I think it's great to have pinks and purples in his formula in a small package that you can travel with. I sound like I travel all the time. I'm not really travelling that much, but you know what I'm saying. It's just nice because you can store it easily as well. There's a mirror inside. It's just really nice sturdy cardboard packaging, and I like the way that he's bringing out a smaller palette here. I hope this continues and that we get other colour stories in a £9 palette. So I love that one, but that's at my number 6 position. So then at number 5, it might surprise some of you that this one's fairly low down on the list, but it's the Blue Blood palette. And I do love it, I love all of them, but this one's in a lower position, mainly because I've not used it as much as perhaps I should. But also I've got issues with a couple of the shades that I have used in this one. It would be higher otherwise. So the shade Ocean Ice is the shade I bought it for. And it stains so badly. I was a little bit scared when I took this shadow off and removed it, because it was like I thought it bruised my eye actually. It was like a purple red, and it took quite a lot of removing that staining, probably 2 days of that colour. I mean, I cover, you know, whatever staining is there because I wear makeup every day, but I still was worried about whatever chemical is in it that makes it stain so bad. But I am really susceptible to staining, so I don't know if it would be the same for everybody. But the other shade that I was a bit disappointed in was Cullinan, the white shimmer, which I really wanted to love. I've seen other people raving about, but I find that a little bit chalky, a little bit difficult to work with. So maybe I just need to play with that more, and my application of it needs to change. But yeah, for that reason it's lower down on the list. But having said that, I love the colour story. I love that he's been brave enough to put, you know, what's essentially just a blue and green palette out there, and the fact that it's also got some neutrals that you can get a bit more variety out of it with. And I love the packaging. It's completely impractical, but I love it anyway. And I need to play with some more of the shades. Like, I haven't used that one at all, and it is a stunning shade. So I just haven't had time really to play with it. I've used it twice on camera now. I've done a first impressions where I did pretty much just a blue look, and I've done a palette bingo with this and the Blood Sugar palette. And I was so unlucky because I wanted to pair blue and red shadows together, and I got pretty much all the neutrals out of both palettes. So I'll link those videos up in the cards if you want to check out how I got on with this one in my first impressions. And kind of my impressions now, as I say, have slightly changed since I've played with those shades a little bit more that I have played with. But I do need to play with it more because I've not used every shade, as I say. Which is a sure sign that I'm buying too much eyeshadow because I'm not getting to play with it as much as I might want to. But as I say, there's a mirror in that one. I love the packaging, the clasp, the whole concept of it is great, but oh my god, it is bulky. So I can't get that one in the drawer that I store all the others in, so that's another reason why I've not used it so much, because I tend to put it away and then I'll forget about it. Which brings me on to my fourth position palette, and it's the same reason that I don't use this one as much as I might do, and this is the Alien palette. But the colour story, I mean look, it's as big as my head. The colour story though of this is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and it is my vibe. Don't think I've ever filmed with this, I'm sure I haven't. I think I bought it before I started my channel. I've done looks on Instagram with it. It's difficult to show it because it's going to reflect off my ring light there, but I love green eyeshadow and I love these sort of tones down here as well. I've played with it quite a bit off camera. Well, I've done all of it off camera. I haven't used every single shade, so I've not used Abduction, and I don't think I've used Martian Soil, and I've not used Area 51, which is the purple, which is criminal because I love purple eyeshadow. So I definitely need to play with that more as well. And it's in my fourth position, as I say, because of the variety of the greens. It's just my kind of tones, and I've also done a really neutral look using Gravity and Interstellar, and that looked gorgeous as well. So I have played with this quite a bit, as I say, from Instagram looks and for just my own looks that I haven't done any pictures or filming with, but not used every shade, but absolutely adore the colour story in this one. Okay, so we're getting to my top three. So if you know his palettes, you'll know what's in the top three. So let's see if you can guess what my three will be. So, and you can make a mental note and see if you were right. So in my third place is his first palette ever, and it's the Beauty Killer. And I thought long and hard about this because the formula of it is probably not as good as some of the new ones, but if I'm thinking about one of his palettes that I want to pick up, if I would only be able to take one with me somewhere, this is the one pretty much that I've been using consistently. There's only one shade that doesn't work very well for me, and that's Rich Bitch. So like I was saying earlier that I've got a problem with the shade in the Thirsty palette that's gold, this one is worse. I can't pick it up with a brush, I can't even pick it up with my finger, it's just useless, I cannot use it. So I don't know whether he's reformulated this palette, but I would actually be tempted to pick up another one of these palettes if he's corrected the issue with it, because that shade, when I first used it, I was able to use it okay, and then it just kind of developed this problem, and it's so hard pressed, I think, but it is a stunning shade. But other than that, every shade is great, and the little stars are wearing off, so you can see how much I've used it. I love Star Power, that's the most vivid pink. I wish he would bring that out in a single, because if this ever runs out, I'm going to need a new palette just for that. I love Expensive, that's a gorgeous shade and looked really nice with that Rich Bitch shade as like a halo eye. The shade Courtney is the perfect transition shade. You've got China White, which is a brilliant brow bone shade. Black Rainbow is a black shade with that kind of micro sparkle in it, but it is still matte and you don't really see the sparkle, but you've got a black shade for deepening. You've also got the shade Vanity, which is a really unusual shade. It's not a brown, it's like more of a aubergine but really dark. You've got the purple shade there, Violence, which is stunning. Confession, which is like a metallic aubergine sort of shade, a burgundy sort of shade. So I know these shades really well because I've used the heck out of it, and it was before I really got into makeup in the same way as I have now, so I guess I used to use things a lot more then as well. So it's got a special place in my heart for being his first one. And the shade Princess is the same colour, I think it's exactly the same as his Princess Cut Skin Frost, except this one doesn't seem to develop hard pan like my Skin Frost does. So I use this as highlight as well. So as I say, it's got so much in one palette that you can do so much with, and that's why it's earned its place in my 3rd position slot. So I've never done anything, as I say, on camera with this one either, because it predates when I started my channel. So if you want to see any looks, anything like I've described so far, because this palette, as far as I know, is still available, then I'd be happy to do it. So now we're on to my final 2. So if you know Jeffree Star, you'll know which 2 they are. So we've got Blood Sugar and we've got Jawbreaker. So which do you think I've gone for as my number 2 and my number 1? So I've gone for Blood Sugar as my number 2. So I'll tell you why it's so high up, but why it didn't get the top spot. So first of all, love the packaging, the kind of medical case kind of vibe that it's got. Again, it's as big as a VCR tape, so it does take up a heck of a lot of room, but I still love the concept of it as well. But I absolutely adore red eyeshadow, so this just had to be high up in my countdown. And one of the first Instagram looks that I did that I was actually happy with, and the picture is still up there if you scroll back far enough, was done with this palette. And so for that reason it's got a place in my heart, because my pictures prior to that were absolutely awful. So I managed to get a good picture with this, and it's because it's so easy to work with that I was able to make a good look with it, because my makeup skills a couple of years ago, you know, they weren't the greatest, I have to admit, and my photography skills were worse. So, but I managed to get a great look using this. So I love the more deeper tones in it. So Fresh Meat, I love Coma and Extraction, so the really dark shades in there. But the gold in this one is called Donut, and that is like liquid gold on the eyes. It's so good. So it can be done, and I think he's improved the formula significantly as he's gone along, and barring the atrocious one in the Thirsty palette, which was reasonably recently, I think he's got the formula on point now with those. The white is incredible, Glucose. That I did a red and white cut crease, all matte cut crease, using this with some red liner, which I used Red Rum liquid lipstick to do the red liner across the top. Again, I've got that on my Instagram. Might have to recreate that for my channel, because that was one of my favourites I've ever done, and did that with this palette. But the formula, as I say, is consistent across the board on this one. I think generally anyone that loves Jeffree Star talks about this palette as being their favourite, and I think it's for good reason that it was a sellout. I got it as soon as it was released. I jump on his releases the second they hit Beauty Bay, but this was sold out in the UK on Beauty Bay for the longest time, and I can understand why that is, because as soon as it was coming in stock, people were grabbing it because it's such a beautiful colour story. And there weren't palettes that were exclusively red brought out at that point, or I mean it's red and purple, but you get what I'm saying. And then there's been so many since, so it was quite revolutionary at the time. So absolutely love it, and I've used the heck out of this one. So of course you know my number 1 spot now, so I only just bought it, but why is the Jawbreaker in my top slot? Well, it just speaks to my heart with the colours. So look at the colours of it and you can see why I love it so much. And I've only played with a few of the shades so far, so I've done the look that's on my eyes now, so 3 shades, swatched some of the others. The formula looks pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to have the issues that I had with the shimmers in some of the others, so I might change my mind after that. But the reason it's in my top slot should I say, is that there's lots of the sort of tones that I like. So you've got a lot of reds, oranges and pinks and deeper tones, and you've also got some pastels and neon kind of tones, but you've also got a lot of depth in this palette. So you've got your navy blue, love a navy blue shade, but you've also got Virgin, the cream sort of shade, for want of a better word. You've got light shimmer shades or foil shades that you can use. So you've got the shade Jawbreaker there, which I like, a light shimmer shade, but you've got Lemon Drop, which is a yellow rather than a gold shimmer, but I think that will be excellent sort of as a halo eye. And you've got the shade Snack as well, so that one there. So you've got quite a lot of light shimmer shades, and you've also got the pastel shades. So it's such a well thought out palette, and I like the arrangement as well, because it's getting me to really think about what would I pair with what. So for me, this was the palette of my dreams. As soon as he released like the promo YouTube video for this, I was on it like a car bonnet, literally. I needed this palette, I wanted it, and I can't see how it's ever going to top this colour story. I just really can't. I love the packaging of it. It's kind of a little bit big, but so it's not going to be your most travel friendly. But having said that, it's not like the Blood Sugar or the Blue Blood in terms of being bulky, and it's not a funny shape like the Alien with the raised eyes, so it's not too bad to store. You know, it's thin, so I could see me travelling with this and taking it away, and how many different looks could I create if I did so. So for that reason, it's got my heart and it's got the top spot. So do you guys agree with my little rundown there? How many palettes out of this collection do you have? Of my collection here, have you got all 8? Have you only got a couple of them? What's stopping you getting the ones that you've not got? I'd love to know, because it's just nice to hear your opinions and chat with you about your makeup in the comments. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I reply to all my comments, and I don't just leave a thanks. I try to chat with you in the comments and really respond with a personal message as much as I possibly can, because I appreciate your support and your friendship and just you sticking around and turning up for every video that I make. I see some of the same people all the time there for my videos, and I'm so thankful. So hope you've enjoyed this. If you're new to my channel and this is your first video of mine, then welcome. I'd love it if you would consider subscribing and becoming part of my little online family here. But other than that, guys, I hope you're having a fabulous day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.